My name's David Clark. I'm the Group Energy Director at Lloyd's Register. We're here today with Deirdre Michie, who is the CEO of Oil and Gas UK, and we're here to talk about the Roadmap 2035. And this is the initiative driven by the Oil and Gas UK, looking at the long-term development of our industry within the UK.
So Roadmap 2035, Blueprint for Net Zero, is our response to the Committee on Climate Change report, which came out earlier this year and talks about how the UK needs to move to net zero by 2050. So we are one of the first industrial sectors to respond constructively and positively, reinforcing the role that this industry has in moving towards net zero, both in terms of supporting the UK in its own energy needs and demands, and then also helping to make sure this is a net zero basin, supporting the UK in how it moves in terms of carbon capture and storage and hydrogen, and using the skills and the people that we have to move ourselves forward in that way. And can I ask, where are you seeing the demand coming from in terms of your customers? Which part are they focusing, or are you having to drive it with them?
So today I think the reality is we still have an operator base and a regulatory base which is still quite siloed in their existing worlds. The interface and crossover points between those worlds are starting to become more stark.
To your point about the regulatory element, there is work being done, because I think there is strong recognition of what you're saying, that it does need to come together in one coherent approach. And they know they need to move at pace on that. So that's work in progress, which I think will be helpful to us in the long term.
And look, absolutely, as a business, we've been around for 257 or 258 years, and we've been around that long because we continue to evolve and we continue to develop what is the challenge of the day in helping the society and industries that we operate in. How do you think we can better engage with the wider society in terms of, we've seen lots of press, particularly in Europe, in the last 9-12 months, and the storyboards around the challenges of climate change, the real challenges, but how the oil and gas sector are part of that. So how do you think we can engage more effectively?
So we are looking to raise the bar in that context. We're looking to put more resources in it and to engage, learn the lessons from the Vision 2035 campaign, which has been really effective in getting out and speaking to our, the industry about what the issues are and getting them engaged. We need to take that broader, deeper, wider, and we need to do it in a way that's compelling, not too corporate, which we are charged and challenged with. And I think we need to build that critical mass. But we do need people working in the industry, working for companies like yours, who are up for championing who we are and what we do. So we know that a key part of Roadmap 2035 is about technology and innovation. We have the OGTC, which is moving really rapidly to get companies to adopt and adapt and develop technologies. And the launch of their Net Zero Solutions Centre is an absolute great example of the roadmap in action. So we're seeing companies moving in this space. But what about your company, David? What do you see your contribution and where you can add value in that context?
So we absolutely want to be fully engaged in that with OGTC and the new Low Carbon Solutions Centre. We're actively engaged in supporting some of the work there and looking at the project work and how we can provide capability into that. More broadly, we have the development of our innovation, our digital innovation, our digital products, and our analytics skill set, and in maintenance, integrity, and asset optimization. So we're continuing to build and develop and deploy that expertise out of our centres here in the UK to our global customer base. And as a company with a single shareholder in the LR Foundation, the foundation is very much involved in leading edge investments in new technologies, looking at new material sciences, looking at new technologies in terms of analytics. We have a joint venture with Alan Turing Institute as an example, and looking at how these can be brought back into the industrial sectors we play to within oil and gas, but importantly outside of oil and gas, where we can learn lessons and transfer existing expertise and technology and apply that into our own sector.
And to me, that just speaks to this industry and the members and the companies that are part of it being part of the solution, because they're already in action to look for the solutions that are going to be needed.
If we look at the skills requirement and the expertise that we see going forward in the sector, the LR today, we have expertise right across the value chains, both in the hydrocarbon world and the renewable world. We absolutely see those fundamental skills, whether it's in the reservoir, whether it's in the drilling and the wells construction, the asset operations or the design of facilities, that expertise is going to be needed for many decades to come. Clearly, there are new skills that will be required to allow better use of digitalization tools, of data analytics, of new technologies around instrumentation, data transmission, data sensing, as well as new breakthroughs around the sensing of reservoirs and production systems. And indeed, more importantly, if we look at the pollution and the production of effluent coming from our production systems itself. So we see that skill set as being core to our business. We're extending and growing that. But I'm interested to understand, maybe at an industry level here in the UK, what other initiatives are ongoing.
Yeah, sure. So again, in a roadmap context, we've got Peter who did their study with RGU that looked at the skills that were going to be required for 2035 and then also 2025, and the fact that we are going to have to attract 40,000 new roles to the industry, 10,000 of those which are in jobs that we just can't quite fathom at the moment. So they've been looking to see how they're now developing a roadmap to see how they develop those, and not just in terms of attracting new, but also in terms of upskilling some of the existing people. The other area that's being looked at is setting up a skills alliance. So this is where we work with other energy sectors to see, okay, so how do we enable the transferability of skills where there are barriers, and also potential, particularly in terms of some of the standards, because what we are seeing is different standards being set up in the different energy sectors, and how do we look to actually make them smooth across so you can move seamlessly from one sector to the other, because at the moment we're concerned that we're setting up different standards in different sectors, and that's not helpful. So that's the work that's been looked at.
Okay.
So I think the roadmap's incredibly important because it articulates the fact that our industry has a role in being part of the solution, and that's why we need our industry to come together to look to deliver the roadmap in a really constructive way that actually encourages people to think this is an industry that they want to be part of, because we're looking to come up with solutions to some of the society's biggest challenges that are facing us today.